The easiest way to become rich is to copy the habits of the most successful people you know. And that's exactly what I did. Having lived with, spent time with, and being friends with multi-millionaires, I just looked at what they did every single day and copied it, and it made me 312K in just 9 months. So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you the 14 distinct behaviors that I realized millionaires did, I copied, made me a very successful online business very quickly, and you can copy it as well to follow the exact same blueprint. This is going to be things that you may not have considered. These are things that I've realized from spending very close time with these very successful people. And if you watch all 14 of them, then you will have everything you need to become the successful person and build the business that you want to build. So without further ado, getting into the first habit, the first one that I saw is these successful people, they got up incredibly early. They didn't have some fancy little routine. They didn't have some fancy way of doing things in the morning. They just got up, they occasionally had a coffee, and then they just got on with their day. They got on with the tasks they needed to do. And I find this quite interesting because a lot of people they differ in terms of what time they want to get up, but I'm a big believer in just copying the habits of the most successful people you know. And I saw that all of those people were setting 6 o'clock alarms, eating the frog, getting up early, smashing their day and smashing their tasks done. And at that point, you get all of the things you need to get done before 8 or 9 in the morning. And then if you need to do other things, you probably will, so your productivity goes up, or you just have the rest of the day to relax, recharge, and enjoy yourself. So that is the first thing that I'd recommend, is setting that early alarm. You do need to go to bed early, but all these successful people had 5:30, 6 a.m. alarms. And now I naturally get up at that time and I get on with my work, and I feel like I've accomplished a load of my day before 6, 7, or 8. Whereas the opposite can be said for someone who wakes up at 9 or 10. They feel like they're already chasing the day. They feel like half the day's already gone. They then overwork in the evening, and then they feel tired the next day. It's just a nightmare. So every successful millionaire that I have met gets up early and seizes the day. So that'd be the first habit that I would highly recommend. The second, following on from this, is successful people know how to get into deep work states. They get rid of their phone, they get rid of distractions, they get rid of notifications. So if you want to get into this deep work state, get into flow state, which is clearly something that that millionaires do because they work incredibly quickly, but in incredibly focused states, they get up and they just get into deep state as quickly as possible. They remove the notifications and they just get going to work. There's no scrolling on TikTok while they're working. They have a great work setup behind them. They have the chair, they have the whiteboard, they have the camera. It's all low friction. And they also have no meetings before midday. So within that deep work state, they get up early and then they get working straight away. So for you, make sure that you're going to get up and make sure that you then get into deep work as quickly as possible. And that's what I do. I have the easiest work setup possible, sit in my chair, turn my laptop on, and I get going. It means that I can be so much more productive than fiddling around on my phone, getting distracted by notifications, having an email or having a meeting halfway through my morning. They get into deep work very quickly. That is what I do. I get up early, and then I get into deep work, and I can already smash out a load of my tasks for the start of the day. Then the third thing is the to-do list. So every rich and successful person I know knows what they're going to do before they wake up. So the evening before, they've planned their to-do list. They've planned exactly what they're going to smash in the day. And you might even be able to see on the whiteboard behind me. I copy that tactic. I know exactly when I wake up what I need to do. I don't need to fiddle around and work out what my priorities are for the day. I know what I'm going to do. And I do the biggest task first, the task that is going to move my business. And that's what all the millionaires that I met do. They just get the big task. They eat the frog, as you might say, first. And that is exactly what you should do as well. Don't deal with the little admin tasks that are applying to emails or applying to text messages. Get into deep work, do the biggest task first, know what you're going to do. And I promise you, by like 8 or 9 in the morning, you will literally have everything you need to do done. And then the rest can be playtime or time for more work if you need to do that. So the fourth thing, this is almost a very controversial take, is I put exercise well and eat very well. But what I mean by that is that actually the most successful people that I know, they exercise, but they're not fanatic exercises. They're not in the gym 3 times a day. Because let's be honest, if you're in the gym 3 times a day or 2 times a day, twice a day, then you are actually just like sacrificing your output and your work. You're actually putting a lot of stress on your body. So while the successful people I know are very healthy and they eat very well, they don't exercise crazy amounts. They exercise enough to keep themselves feeling productive, but not to the point where they are just burning themselves out by training 100 times a day. The other hand of that is they are very healthy. They have great health habits and they eat very, very cleanly. This is the one thing that I've seen over all of the successful people that I know and I've implemented in my life, is this idea of putting good food into you, eating clean, healthy food, not drinking loads of alcohol, being like, most of them are very low or no alcohol, and they're very conscious of what they put in their body. Because if you think about it, every cell that we have is a makeup of our body and a makeup of the food we eat. And therefore, if you're putting crap in you, you're going to feel crap, you're exerting crap. You just do not want to do that. So that was something that I found, which I was quite interested by, is basically eating very clean. Okay. Number 5, sleep is key. Sleep, this is such an interesting one, and it kind of ties into the get up early. But I've never met a successful person who doesn't prioritize sleep, is not ruthless about making sure that they get to bed on time and getting their 7 or 8 hours sleep. That might come from tracking your sleep, but just having a very good idea that you're getting in long amounts of sleep. It helps to get up early because then you feel like you've smashed the day and you feel like you can go to sleep. Successful people aren't working up late till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. That is a sign, from what I've seen, of people who are not successful, the people who are not working on the things that are important, and they're overworking, they're spinning a hamster wheel. So sleep is so important. Sleep is the biggest performance enhancing drug that no one talks about, as Chris Williams says, and sleep is incredible. So successful people I know, they all get their 7-8 hours sleep a night. They all have great sleeping conditions, and they all prioritize sleep over a lot of other things. So that is one thing that I'd recommend. A nice little Bali mosquito, get away from me. Okay, so number 6 that millionaires do is that they're very precious of their time. Because the thing about like just living day-to-day life, right? You don't really care about your time. You can be a bit like laissez-faire with it. You might be getting paid like a salary, so it doesn't matter so much. But the millionaires that I've spent time with are so precious of their time. They treat their time so valuably, and as they should be, because if you think about it, if they're making hundreds of thousands a month, then their time and their like per hour cost is worth so much that they're incredibly precious of it, and they don't do things that are not worth their time. And like, you should do the same thing as well. They think firstly that they outsource anything that is not worth their time. So say they've worked out that their hourly time is worth $1,000 or $2,000. They're not going to do any task or not bother with things that is worth less. They'll just pay someone else to do it as well. And they're also very valuable with their time when they spend it with other people, because their time is so valuable to give. That's not that they're arrogant in not wanting to spend time with people, but they're just very precious of it. So when you are doing your tasks, when you are, maybe editing or doing work tasks, just be very precious of your time, because your time is the most valuable thing you have. And if you're just giving it away willy-nilly and not focusing on what you're spending it on, then it can very quickly get out of hand. And it's not something that millionaires do, so I don't do it as well. So I'm very precious as well. I outsource a lot of things to other people, including editing, including personal tasks. I had a client retreat I organized recently, and that was pretty much all organized by my VA. Saved me maybe 10s, if not 20 hours of work, all because I'm very precious over it and I know someone else can do it just as well as me. So the other thing that comes onto that, which I link to that, but is a very distinct point as well, is that their calendar is very protected. Millionaires absolutely hate meetings. And one of my most interesting stories with this is I held a mastermind with a guy called Matt Gray, a very successful online entrepreneur. And I was basically saying, we should meet and discuss the mastermind. And he said, I'm trying to avoid having meetings. And I was like, that's so interesting. And then I asked him at the mastermind, okay, why did you say that? And he said, I'm trying to get away from pointless time spent in my diary where people just fill a 30-minute meeting for the sake of it. And I have the exact same approach now. I'm really precious with my calendar. I don't let people just chuck meetings in for the sake of it. And I try and get to the point where we don't do meetings if we actually don't need to. So be very precious to your calendar and treat your calendar like an incredibly important resource, just like they're very precious of their time, but that kind of applies to meetings as well that I wanted to mention. So be very precious of your calendar. The 8th habit that I've seen is they say no more than they say yes. They're very particular on what they say yes to. They weigh up the pros and cons of things. It doesn't mean that they're like knobby and they're like, I don't want to spend time doing that. I'm not going to spend time doing that in an arrogant way. It's just that they say no a lot, because as a successful person, they get asked to do many things. They get many opportunities. The richer you get, as I've found, like the more you make money, the more people are like, you can make 10K, 20K, 30K doing this. And you have to say no to those opportunities. You need that singular focus, that singular direction, and you need to know what is worth your time, what is not worth your time. So get into the habit of just saying no a bit more. I'm regularly now saying no to meeting up with friends. I'm regularly saying no to business opportunities because I'm very particular where I spend my time. It's not that I think I'm better than it, but I just try and be very, very purposeful with where I spend my time. So number eight is say no a lot. Number 9 is imperfect action. And I want to actually full screen this one because this is something that my clients almost know me very well for. They know that I bang on about this. But the biggest problem that I see from the 55 clients that I've worked with scaling their online businesses, I've seen that they are too perfectionist. They try and get the perfect video out every time. Even this video now, I know it's not perfect. I could have made it pretty and nice, but I want to give real value. And I just believe in taking as much action as possible. And every millionaire that I've seen just get things done. They get things done quicker than other people. They make things happen. And the problem right now is probably where you're sat is you don't take enough action. You try and take a perfect action and wait to get it done before it's perfect. But I, or the millionaires, are getting 3 or 4 things done that are maybe 80% right, much quicker. So we learn a lot quicker and we just move at a quicker pace. So I would say, a good example for you is I'm posting 5 YouTubes a week right now. They're not the most perfect YouTube videos, but I'm learning about how to create good YouTube videos 5 times quicker than before, where I was trying to make this perfect YouTube video. And that is about this imperfect action. So something for you to consider, but something I'd highly recommend. And it's something that millionaires absolutely love. The other thing that millionaires do and that I've tried to implement in my life is I think more and I do less. So I'm trying to not constantly be busy for the sake of it. I'm trying not to be stuck at my laptop the whole day because I want to actually act like a kind of sprinter. I want to act like some people say like a lion. I want to be resting for a lot of the day, chilling, talking, deciding, making strategic decisions, the big movements for my businesses. And then when I do, I want to be like a lion, like pouncing, hunting. And that's a phrase that I got from a millionaire. And it's something that I can't remember who, but I remember them saying it and I was like, that's so interesting. Yes, you don't want to be like a kind of, I don't know, like a fly buzzing around the whole time. You want to act like a lion, one that sleeps and rests and then does things when they need to do it. And I love that. And I've seen a lot of millionaires work a lot less than I would think. You often think these guys and girls should be working hours and hours a day, but they don't. They just work incredibly hard and incredibly focused when they do. So think more and do less. Another interesting thing that I've picked up is that these people they have a very close circle. They don't have loads of friends. They're not the biggest socialite in the room. They don't spend time with a lot of people. It's probably because they want to protect their time. It's probably because they feel a bit different to other people. But having a very close circle is important. And I guess trying to unpick that is exactly what I said, that they're picky with their time. But it's also because of the fact that they've become comfortable in themselves and they just enjoy the life that they live. They're not trying to make friends all the time. They just have an incredibly close circle and they have very good friends, but they don't have a massive network. And I found that quite interesting. And something that I'm trying to be very intentional with my friendships as opposed to having just thousands upon thousands of like low level connections, low level, like ones that I don't feel a deep connection with, just not having loads of friends, having very in particular friends. So that was interesting. Okay, so another fascinating thing that I've seen is that the millionaires that you see online, and something that I am doing now, is I'm very abundant mindset with certain types of money, but I'm also very protective over other parts of money. So in terms of spending money with my business, I want to be very, very, very intentional with what I spend money on. I want to be very protective of margins, and millionaires are like that as well. They're very protective of certain types of money, but then they're also very abundant in terms of opportunity. So they believe that money can be made everywhere. They believe that there's places and flows and values to tap into everywhere, but they're also very protective over how they spend their money. They're not very, they're not flash. Like a lot of the people you see online who are just selling you courses about how to live a great life, that's not a very great representation of actually rich and successful people. A lot of them are very careful where they spend their money because they're building long-term wealth and they want to put money into the right places. So that's a very interesting thing. So I am now very abundant with bringing in value and bringing in opportunity, but I'm also very protective over basically how I spend my business money. And I won't give out any dollars unless I believe they're really worthwhile to my business. Okay, the other thing that I've seen millionaires do is that they have a low decision or like number of decisions made per day. One of the fascinating things that I got off a millionaire that I used to spend time with was that he used to, when they went for dinner, just ask the waiter, like, just bring out your 5 best dishes. And that's a very abundant mindset to have, but they reduce decisions. They don't want to spend time making decisions, because when you run a successful business, you are making decision after decision after decision. So you just want to basically make sure that the decisions you do make, let's get that all back. You want to make sure that the decisions you do make are the important ones and not the ones that are low leverage. So for example, like, I wear a black t-shirt every single day. I wear pretty much the same clothes every day because of the fact that I don't want to focus on making those decisions, because I want to get to my laptop and have to make the big decisions. And something called decision fatigue is something that I'm sure affects you a lot. If you're constantly trying to save money, if you're constantly just deciding what to eat for dinner, if you're constantly deciding what plans to do, that takes up mental bandwidth that should be spent on making big decisions for your business. So that's something that I've copied with my black outfit, and also just in the way that I live my life and I order food at restaurants. And then the last one is to have a goal. Millionaires are very clear that they have a direction they want to go into. They have a number, or they have a life they want to build for themselves, because at the end of the day, once you reach that sort of status, you don't need much more money. It's not like you're improving your living standards much. I found that recently, like, I can spend money on everything I want. So it's like, what else do I want to do? And they're very clear that they have a goal. One millionaire that I spoke to said he wanted to build a building. Another millionaire I spoke to said that he wanted to become completely retired at the age of 26. And I found that interesting. So for you and for me, it's important to have a goal. And now I have a very distinct goal of a money that I want, a certain amount of money that I want, and also a lifestyle I want to live. And I work towards that because that's what keeps me going in the morning. That's what keeps me motivated. And that's what helps me be successful in the work that I do. So have that clear goal. And they're the 14 habits that if you implement in your life, I don't see any reason why you won't be rich and successful as well.